think we're live. Are we live? I can't see anything. I can see live, the button live. Good afternoon, everyone. Nkosi is Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, late from within. Technology problems, guys. I hope we are live. Does it say we are live, Nick?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so our topic today is mindset and thoughts. Amanda, do you wanna?
I can't see anything. I can't see you guys, so you're just gonna have to leave me out for a minute until I can figure out what's going on my end.
Can I say anything about the topic, please?
Sure, I can. So the way I understood it was the topic was how to control your thoughts and emotions.
Yes.
And when I first heard that, I thought I kind of have a little bit of almost aversion to the word control. I don't know if that for me anyways describes what I try to do with my own thoughts and emotions, because control to me means like forcing and manipulating and like forcing, and for me that just doesn't work. So I've found kind of some different strategies that do still can change your thoughts over the long term, but it's not easy, first of all, because we're programmed to stay the same, because staying the same equals safety in our evolution. And so getting outside of that and pushing yourself into new uncharted territory is scary. It's just the way our bodies are. But it is possible to, over the course of, with some deliberation or deliberate action behind what you're doing, you can for sure change your thoughts and emotions, but it's not easy. And I don't think, again, control wasn't quite the right word for me, but yeah, that's kind of my introductory thoughts anyways. What do you think about that, Amanda?
Well, I can sort of see you guys now, so I don't know what happened, but now I can only see you on Facebook. So it's like delayed and weird. But I think that like controlling your emotions is sometimes one of the like hardest things for anyone to do, right? Because emotions are something that we don't think through. It happens in the moment and it's almost like absent without thought. And so it's so hard sometimes to bring that back in and control our emotions. And I know that learning how to do that, like toddlers, that's one of the, like, we have temper tantrums and the terrible twos, because that's like one of those areas where we're really trying to learn how to control our emotions and not just like blurt everything out in that moment. But sometimes even as adults, it's really, really hard to learn how to take a step back and take a breath and really be in control of those emotions and respond rather than react, which is a lifelong journey, I think. What about you, Nomsa?
You're still muted, Nomsa.
You're muted. I think I agree with you, Amanda, and I also agree with Nick. The word control, it sounds a bit harsh, but it's really is the hardest thing to do, like what Amanda is saying. And but I think you have to be in the present moment in order to control your thoughts and to be aware of your mind, where your mind is leading you, because your mind could Google some other things and go off, and if you let it happen. But if you have this awareness of to bring yourself back, I think the way control is being used, but it sounds really, really bad. Like, how do I control? It's like I'm controlling my life. I think it's been put in a way that just bring your thoughts together, like unwanted thoughts. Be aware of the thoughts that you want to focus on, and the thoughts that you don't want to focus on. Instead of ignoring them, let them know, speak to them, let them know that you are aware of them, and at the same time, it's not the place where you want to go, and just deal with them straight away, because some people, they ignore them and they think the thoughts will go away. They end up not going away, and they end up they might cause depression or cause anxiety, or sometimes they may cause panic attack, or sometimes they might cause other things. So that's how I see it anyway. Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking there, and for me, controlling my emotions was something that I did my entire life in a certain way. And for me, that was to just push them down. And that served its purpose for the first 41 years of my life, basically. And that was because of how I was raised, where showing emotion or expressing your emotions wasn't really something that we did. So my coping mechanism with when anything got hard in life, I would just push everything down, like never let anything come to the surface and to actually express those emotions or to process them either, actually. So holding them down was my way of controlling, and it doesn't work in the long term. It's a terrible strategy, because for me, I got to a point where all those things that I'd pushed down just boiled to the surface and needed to be finally actually processed, because pushing them down just isn't an effective strategy. So now in the moment, I'm just thinking to a story actually from yesterday where I needed a little work on my emotional regulation. So had a day with the kids. We went to a climbing gym and it was great, and did picking up some different things we needed around town, and got home. And so my wife sent me into this, there's this really cool cheese maker just outside of the area where we live. And so she sent me in to go get, I think 3 items now in hindsight, but I only came out with 2. But we didn't realize it till we got home, and so I bought the wrong kind of cheese for the pizza that we were making. Anyways, so she realized that I had messed up, basically. I hadn't gotten the right cheese, and told me that I'd messed up. And I my first reaction, and this is literally what I said, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And then I kind of had a little temper tantrum and stormed off. And then I went and went to the bathroom and just sort of just took a minute and was like, okay, that didn't feel that good in the moment, how I reacted. And so I kind of just came to terms with that and just admitted that, okay, that was an unnecessary reaction on my part. I messed up. And in that moment, I was trying to justify or minimize or something that was happening in that moment. So I went back upstairs and was like, okay, sorry, that was an unreasonable response. You just pointed out that I had made a small mistake, and it's not a big deal. And I apologize for my overreaction. And for me, that was so I acknowledged that I had an inappropriate kind of reaction or emotion, and then apologized for it. And now I feel as time goes on, I'm more and more able to, identify those situations quicker and quicker and change it. And for me, it's becoming easier and easier. And I think it's there's obviously a lot of psychological things going on, which I don't understand all of the technical things. But it's, you are rewiring your brain when you start to interrupt things like that, or situations or responses. When you are consistently interrupting those circuits, the ones that fire together, wire together. That's a Joe Dispenza thing. But that's exactly what's happening. So in that moment, when you're able to kind of catch it and change it, you're kind of like slowly, and it feels awkward at first and hard, but as you do it more and more, it feels more and more natural. And for me, that's the fire together, wire together kind of analogy makes sense to me, because it's like at first those connections haven't been made in your brain, and then as you kind of almost force it at first, it doesn't feel that natural or easy, but as you do it more and more, it just becomes more and more natural. And to me, that sort of explanation makes sense. I don't know if that rings true for you guys as well.
No, it absolutely does. It was making me think of like different students that I've had over the years. And once you give them some skills to deal with different situations, then they're actually able to like take a step back and respond rather than react. So even like I've had runners in the past, students that will like get mad and then bolt out of the room, right? And so then when we can teach them like a different strategy and different strategies, now I can almost like I can watch their frustration start to rise. And then it's something like already clicks, and then they like bring themselves back down themselves. And it's like, that's the best feeling in the world as a teacher, because I'm like, oh yes, like they're using the strategies that I taught them and it's working, and they're able to like bring themselves down. And it's just like absolutely amazing. No,
Okay, what's going on?
Are you on your phone and computer, Amanda?
No.
Okay. I think one of my things, I need to go, but I might kick you guys out. I don't know. Okay, I need to go here on my phone. But I think I am the main. Did I kick everyone out, or I'm still there?
Still there.
Yay! Amanda, you on? You were not on. I had to admit you.
I can't see you guys. I was watching you on Facebook. I don't even know where you are still. I'm lost.
Can you see us now?
No, I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back in.
Hold on. Okay, maybe if you come back.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Technology, hey. Yeah, I think what you're saying, Nick, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yes, I think what you're saying is very, very easy when it comes to our thoughts and mind. It's easy to get lost in our thoughts, and it's hard to break free from them. But when you say control your thoughts, like you had a little bit of a misunderstanding with your wife, and then you were able to actually look at the situation and say, you know what? I need to go and apologize. I'm in the wrong. I didn't have to say you can go and buy your own bread. But I think it sounds like somebody that I know in his house. When you ask him to go and get something, is like go and get it yourself. When he's actually, if he doesn't sleep well or he gets grumpy, he doesn't get a good night's sleep, you got to leave the poor guy alone. That means he's tired and he was going to get grumpy, but it doesn't happen very often. It happens once a year, maybe, when he's really grumpy. And if he says that to go get it yourself, we'll be like, oh, what's going on? And then he gets embarrassed because we just laugh at him, and then he gets embarrassed, and then he will start apologizing. And then when he goes like to the shops now, that means he has to get us a treat. So we take advantage of this situation. So yeah, I think it is what you're saying. Sometimes we get lost, and sometimes we Amanda, that's where Amanda comes in. Power of mindfulness. That's where it comes in, because mindfulness is actually, when you practice mindfulness, you're paying attention of your thoughts and you're paying attention of your feelings without judgment. I don't know, Amanda, if I'm wrong. I know that is your expertise. That's what you do for living, and yoga as well. And I think that's when all those things comes into place, where you have to stay focused and you have to stay controlled. And it's like myself, if my children are annoying me, I have to be in the present moment, because otherwise I'll end up screaming and shouting at them. And the poor children are innocent, they don't know anything. So I have to go in a place where, when I'm approaching the situation, I'm letting them know that what they're doing is wrong, or maybe, or it's not wrong, or maybe just do it like this. And then I get challenged in that moment. And then I'm like, if I was shouting, they would just run off me. But hey, what do you think, Amanda? You're back now. Can you see us, or you still don't see us?
No, I can now. I don't know why it was not showing me. Was like delayed on Facebook. But one of the things I was thinking while you were talking, and as I got interrupted about my students, is that when we can begin to recognize, like, be like, I'm grumpy, like I'm grumpy today, and it's okay. But that means you need to, like, give me a little bit of space. And when you can, like, say that to your child or say that to your spouse or whatever, then it just, like, opens up that conversation, right? Because you're allowed to be grumpy. It's not like you're allowed to be overtired, but it's also giving them that, like, space to say, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Can you please, like, recognize that I might not have as much patience as I normally have? So, like, I was in a car accident like 2 months ago, and my neck's still really bugging me. And so in the classroom, when my head starts to really hurt because of the car accident, I'll say to the kids, I have a really bad headache. It is not you guys, it is the car accident that's causing it. But I need you to just, like, be quieter, because I'm really struggling right now. And I don't want to have to yell at you because it's too noisy, because it's like, it's me, this is my struggle because of the car accident, but I need you to know that I'm struggling right now. And so I need you to step up a little bit. And it just opens that door of communication. Whereas if I didn't tell them that, they would be like, oh, our teacher's really grumpy, right? But they can almost see it now. They see it in my face, because at about 1 o'clock, my head starts to hurt. And they'll be like, your head's hurting again, isn't it? And I'll be like, yeah. And now they are even recognizing it in me, and before I even have to tell them. And it's that self-awareness piece, right? And even, like, my daughter, I'll be like, honey, like, I'm not feeling very good today. And then she'll keep at it. I'm like, seriously, like, I told you I'm not feeling good, but you still are being ridiculous in my face. Like, you need to stop, or else I'm going to have a temper tantrum. Right. And that's that self-awareness piece. And what I was saying about the student is, I was starting to recognize that they're able to, like, you can almost see them thinking it through, like, do I bolt out of the room, or do I do this? And then they're, like, starting to become aware and starting to have the strategies. And not always, because there's some days where they didn't get enough sleep and they're not capable of doing the think through process. But most days, and the majority of the time now, they are. And that's, like, such a huge success. And it just, like, makes me so excited when I see that happening with kids that struggle, when they are able to regulate their emotions 50% of the time instead of just 3% of the time. That's a huge, huge win. And even for ourselves, if you are starting to recognize, hey, I dealt with that one situation better, then that's huge growth, and you should be super proud of yourself, because and our emotions are always changing. They're constantly changing all of the time. They're always fluctuating, but we can bring it back to our breath and control our breath if we are conscious of it. And not always are we conscious of how we can control our breath and how we can bring our emotions back down, so that we respond rather than react. But when we can respond rather than react more often, that is huge, huge growth. And I don't think we give ourselves credit for that as often as we should. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that for sure. And that piece about not kind of celebrating our wins is huge in a lot of areas of my life for sure. So that's something I'm working on to celebrate those small wins for sure. And then again, I was reminded while you were talking about yesterday when we were at the climbing gym actually, and watching, it was the first time we'd taken our kids there, and so watching them almost control and work on managing their own fears with heights and different things. So there's this one apparatus where it's basically like these kind of pedestals where they go up kind of in a circle, and then there's an auto belay in the middle, and so they're hooked up, and then so they walk up this thing, and it's the same step each like the distance between them is all the same, but as you go up, obviously it's a lot higher, so it's all in your head. And to watch specifically, sorry, our middle guy, and you could just see like just the terror on his face, and then I'd be like, okay, buddy, take a breath and step, and you could just see his little body just take a little breath, and then he would take another step, and it was like, and then he would get up there and he'd be like, oh my god, I did it. And it was just such a cool thing to like just watch him like real time, like kind of control his own reactions and emotions. It was kind of a neat thing to experience, and not that it exactly applies to real life, but it was just something that popped into my head when you were talking about how cool it is when you see a kid actually self-regulate and implement some sort of a strategy that works for them to get through whatever it is that they're dealing with in their external world. So it was really neat to see that. And then I'll just talk a little bit about just that our subconscious mind can also can work for us or against us based on kind of what you have going on in there. And for a lot of us, it's subconscious, so we don't even know what's going on there or to think about at all. And and that's when you're more in that reaction mode rather than I might be screwing that up, but anyways, and so getting to that point where you have some input into what is going on in your subconscious is just it feels really good. And it's not an easy thing to get there, to be able to control what's going on. But so for me, for what I'm going through right now, just trying to like rewire a lot of my programming and thoughts and basically emotions around finances and abundance and all that. And so reading this little book right here, and it's been around forever, and it's the Abundance book by John Randolph Price. And it's a 40-day basically kind of challenge almost, where you have to read the book, and then you read there's 10 statements, and you have to meditate on these statements for 15 minutes at minimum kind of thing per day. And so there's 10 of them, so you do them each 4 times, so it's 40 days long. And at the beginning of this, when I first read these statements, they were like really clunky, and I wasn't able to really understand, or it was just wasn't flowing at all, and it was hard. And now as I've done it, so I'm about halfway through, so about 18 days in, and already it's just different. Like there's something different in the way that my mind is working. And even during the day now, I'm able to like bring up the concepts from these meditations that even a week and a half ago were like really like I didn't understand, and they weren't computing. And now with just a few more days of just pushing through kind of thing, it's now becoming my subconscious, and which is a really cool thing to see how you are able to change the way that your mind works. It just takes some concerted effort, and you just have to commit to it. It's not something that happens. You think about something once and then it's like done. It's just, unfortunately, it's just not, well, fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, if you thought, yes, one thing, and then it all of a sudden became your reality, that'd be a super bad thing for most of us, for sure. So it's a good thing there's a bit of a time delay there. And I'm sure it's there on purpose, because our bodies are just amazing, and how all of this stuff just works it's phenomenal. But anyway, so it's been a cool experience for me to, like, and again, kind of real time, I mean, spaced out over a couple of weeks, or basically a little over a month, this whole program, to be able to see how you're able to change the way your thoughts work. So I don't know if that has been something that you guys have experienced in your lives as well.
Nomza, you're on mute.
Yeah, but I've tried to create habits like the way you're doing, and I think it is going to work. You get used to it as long as you're not stretching yourself too much. Remember, you have to do bit by bit when you're starting something. So I think it is going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to hear how your book and your journeys you're getting on. And I think that's where Amanda comes in with her mindfulness, because it's a skill that can be used to improve mental health problems and your well-being. I've got something on my eye, I don't know what it is. And also it helps you to focus, like what Nick is saying, that meditation as well is reading this book and doing practical things. And that is actually, you're creating the habit of finances, you're creating the habit of different things at the same time, which is that's what you need to have a happier and a healthier life. And I'm sure there are many things, many tips, ways to practice mindfulness that Amanda can actually, that don't have to be difficult, Amanda can share with us. I don't know, Amanda, what can you tell us, or is it breathing exercises, or what can we use actually if someone wants to focus on their thoughts and feelings, and using journaling at the same time? I like to, when someone is actually the experience, because you are focusing, you are the coach, a mindfulness coach. So can you tell us, please?
Yeah, one of the things I was going to talk about actually was that we said that we're going to talk about how to control your thoughts and emotions. And so one of the things I wanted to say was, like, what strategies do you have that you use when your mind starts to spiral? Because that's anxiety, right? That's your fight or flight or whatever response and reaction. And so if you don't have any tools in your tool belt, then you're going to react the same way every single time, and you're going to probably react the same way that your parents did, in the same way that the parents before that did, and the parents before that. And your coping mechanism might be to drink, or to do drugs, or to overeat. And there's all these different things that we might do, or it might be to get really angry and have a temper tantrum. But there's things that we can do when we become aware of it, so that we can shift and change. And so if your mind starts racing, what are these tools in your tool belt that are going to work for you, so that you don't send an angry text off the spew and then, like, continue a fight, right? Or you actually take a step back and feel those feelings in your body and allow yourself to let them go. Because whatever feelings you're feeling are valid in the moment, but when you become aware of what you have to let go of, that's when you really begin to shift and change. And so sometimes if your mind is spiraling, what can you do to get yourself out of that mind spiral? So there's lots of different things you can do, and different things work differently for different people. So you might go to the gym, you could go for a run, you could play music, you could play the piano or the guitar, or whatever instrument that you play. You could do art and create. You could go talk to a friend instead of reacting, right? Or you could journal, you could meditate, you could have a bath, you could practice some breathing techniques, you could go to yoga. There's like a giant list just right there that I just said to get yourself out of that mind spiral. Because when we get into those mind spirals, that's where it's really hard to get out of. And then we fall back into our patterns, whether it's drinking or self-pity or whatever other pattern it is that you have. And so really trying to learn how to recognize when you're falling into that pattern again, because like Nick was saying about that subconscious mind, the subconscious has so much control over everything that we do. And I actually jotted down the book that you were talking about, because I think I'm going to try it too, because it sounds super fascinating. And when we completely change our pattern, then unconsciously change our pattern, then that new pattern after 40 days, or they even say after 21 days, when you've consciously changed something, it will become a subconscious pattern after 21 days. And so you can get back into that. And that's why, one of the reasons why too, when say you get really good at going to the gym, it just becomes like the thing that you do every day and you don't even think about it, you just go, right? But then if you get sick, this is what always happens to me. I get sick and I fall out of that routine, and then it takes me like 2 months to get back into it, right? But when it is my routine and it is, then I just don't even think about it. But then once I fall out of that routine, it becomes really hard to get back into that good routine again. And the same, and I fall back into those patterns of just being lazy and watching TV, or like doing whatever, and my good subconscious pattern that I had created falls to the side, and I need to work myself back up to get there again. And I think that happens to lots of people. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I find myself doing really, really good, and then it's like, oh, I get sick or something happens, and then I fall back down, and then I like work myself back up again, and then something happens, and it's like, it's always this like, move forward, take a couple steps back, move forward, take a couple steps back. But it's that consciousness, right? And our conscious ability to be like, nope, I can recognize myself doing this again. I'm going to get out of it just that much faster. What do you think about those strategies, Nick? What's the strategy that you use? Because my strategy is like creating. I'll also like to have a bath and read. That's one of the things, like there's certain books that I'll always turn to if I am struggling with something. And one of them is Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. I actually did a little TikTok video on it. You commented on it, Nick, because I was reading it something completely different, but then it popped up with something about education. And so I was just sharing my thoughts on the education piece of it. But it's so interesting. I can read this book. I've read this book probably like 7 times, at least in the last 15 years. And yet I'll always come back to it, and something new will pop up for me. That's like, I needed that in this moment. And when you have books like that, they'll come back, but that's my strategy. Or it'll be going for a run or going to yoga. And that's what I need to just get out of my funk. But I know that other people, it might be playing music, or it might be baking, cooking. I hate cooking, but I know that that's something that really helps other people get out of their heads and live in the moment. And so whatever it is, it could be woodworking, it could be going for walks in the mountains, it could be whatever it is, that gets you out of your head and living in the moment is what's going to help you learn how to respond rather than react and control your emotions. What do you think, Nick? What are one of the strategies that you use?
Yeah, so yeah, you named off a bunch of really great ones, and I definitely use some of those at different times. But so for me, it's first of all is realizing that the majority of the stuff that's going on in my head is like it's made up. Yeah, I'm making shit up. Like it hasn't happened yet, and 99% of the time, whatever it is doesn't end up happening anyways. So having that realization, number one, is like, okay, taking that breath and being like, whatever it is going on, is that true? Is it actually happening, or does it have the potential of happening? And what good does it do me to focus on that? Because I know that my thoughts create my reality. And if I'm thinking about all the things that may, what if, possibly could go wrong, it's like, well, that's just silly. Like, that's not helpful at all. I'm actually putting energy into what I don't want. So that realization is huge for me. And then catching myself and then putting those positive thoughts in replacement of those, the ones I don't want. And then, yeah, through the course of my life, I've been proven so many times like, oh, well, that thing I was worried about doesn't, it like didn't happen. So like that was just a waste of time. So anyways, that's been huge for me. And then getting outside for sure is a big one for me. Just going for even a short walk, and I'm big on hugging trees. So I go find my tree and give them or her some love, and they definitely give it back. So that's a good one for me. When I can get into something where I have to focus, so whether it's like riding my bike fast or skiing fast or something like that where there's no room for that extra chatter, those are things that I do really enjoy. Motorcycles and different things like that. I do really I have, there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube that's like actually really been helpful for me. And so now the YouTube algorithm just like feeds me these like really great positive videos. And so it can definitely go the other way too and give you a bunch of crap that doesn't help you at all. But yeah, in the evenings, if I've had kind of a bit of a longer day, I like to just sort of just consume positive, uplifting. It's like, it's a lot of like spiritual stuff and like explaining what's going on like an energetic level. Or watch some, I watch a lot of stuff on Gaia, and there's this really cool series on there, and it's sacred geometry, and it's like activating your it's called your grid of life, basically your energy centers, and talking about sacred geometry. And it's like, this show is just blowing my mind every time I watch it. So anyway, so I'll do something like that and just get out of whatever my current problems, life stuff is, and focus on like spiritual, like activating energy centers and like things like that. So those are kind of the main ones that I'm my go-to, I guess, right now. And I do have some unhelpful ones too that I'm aware of that I'm working on. Oh, and yeah, just being physically active for sure is staying in that routine of working out regularly is extremely helpful for me. So how about you, Nomsa?
So I agree with Amanda, what Amanda was saying, that sometimes you can fall back, like now is the holidays. When you go to the gym, you end up not going to the gym and things like that. For me, what helps me to be alert, I do what Nick does. So I'm a Christian, I fast 3 days a week, and I also meditate. And I sometimes, if my mind is going to sleep, so for me to wake my mind up, I have to speak in tongues, that and activating my inner being. So once I speak in tongues, and then I activate my inner being, and then I'll be alert of what is going on around me. So like, let's say now it's Christmas, everyone is at home. If I feel like I don't want to go running, I don't like to go to the gym. Gym is boring for me. I like to be fast. I really, really run fast. And when it's raining, I love when running is raining, because the journey that normally takes me like an hour, it will take me half an hour if it's raining, because I run fast. So I love that. And if I can't go running, I can dance in the house. I dance like maybe for an hour and a half. If I normally go running for 2 hours, for an hour, I dance an hour and a half, and then that's my day done. And I can dance even cooking. Dancing is even easy. You can do your exercises while you're cooking, and everyone comes in and like, hey, what's going on in here? I'm like, do you want to join me? So I'm just having fun. So yeah, that's what I do. Or sometimes I meditate. Actually meditate every day. It's very, very important that I meditate. Otherwise, I get disconnected myself. But the more I meditate, staying in the present moment, the more I get challenged with my thoughts, because you have different energies trying to pull you on the other side. So it's a very, very challenging focusing on your thoughts and your feelings, but you have to be in the present moment. And also, like Amanda's, the mindfulness is a good skill to learn, and journaling as well. And stop. Sometimes you don't have, like what Nick was saying, that your thoughts can take you to places where you don't want to be. You don't have to believe your thoughts. And also, if there is a lot of noise in your head, let's say your thoughts, your worries, the fears, and the doubts that will be bringing to you, that will be in your head, you can actually recycle them, break free, and then recycle them by letting them know that you know they are there, you know they are available. You can't ignore them. For me, I'm always have earphones. When I'm having those thoughts, I actually play the music, mostly gospel music. There are specific music that there are specific artists that I don't play when I see my thoughts, and there are specific music that I play if I see my thoughts are taking me to a places where I don't want to be. I just play that music. I have specific tracks for specific artists that I know that I can trust them, because some of the artists in their music, it makes things worse because they're into occulty or occult. So I used to play that music, and then in my head, the whole day will be going cuckoo until I actually realized, like, when I play this music, things get worse. So I stopped playing those music. I don't play it anymore. So I have specific people that I listen to. But it does help, because I love music. Some people don't love music. They love different things. So like going to the gym, meditating, yoga. Amanda, you are a yoga person. And there's all breathing exercises as well. They're really, really good. And visualizing, people do visualizing. I don't do visualizing, but breathing exercises, they are good. Now I've gone lazy. I used to do them a lot. And actually, breathing exercises, they connect your thoughts to your inner being as well. You stay connected to your present moment if you do them every day for 5 minutes. I use actually 2014 and 15. I used to do them every single day, and I could see the changes, like 5 minutes. But I used to do specific for singing to control my stomach. But they're really, really, really good. So if you have that breathing exercises or specific person, and also, and what else did we leave? I think Amanda actually covered everything. And also you have to
just thought of one though.
What's that?
If you're struggling with your emotions, pets can be a huge thing to help you regulate, or help your kids regulate. And so that's why they have therapy dogs, right? And it's because cats actually can adjust their purring to help bring down your emotions, and they'll adjust the vibration of their purring to what your body actually needs, which is absolutely amazing. There's research on it. I've read about it. And so she just came and sat in my lap and was like, but she's always does that. She's just glued to me lots of the time. Or you see her walk across the screen. But pets actually, they have this knowing that when you're out of balance, especially dogs and cats, and even horses, that's why they use horses with students who have special needs and children who have special needs, because horses just have this way with children that other animals don't necessarily have, or that we haven't seen that connection. But horses that have a huge healing energy to them, and so do cats and dogs as well. And so if you're struggling with your emotions, then that can be something that can help as well. I have a friend who's actually getting a therapy dog to help exactly with supporting her anxiety. And then she's a teacher too, so she'll actually be able to bring it into her classroom because it is a therapy dog, and she works with special needs kids, so then they also are going to benefit from that as well, which is super empowering. And I think we need to do more of that, because pets help kids on so many levels, and I think as adults we need to recognize that too.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I've felt that in my life too with pets, and more recently realizing, I don't know if it's like a male thing or what, but like we're almost supposed to not like cats, I think, as men. But when we moved, one of the times we moved we've moved lots in the last few years, but we moved to the farm that my wife grew up on, and we ended up with, I think at one point we had about 8 or 9 cats, I want to say. They were outside like farm cats, but I just love those little buggers, like to go outside, and this one in particular, especially in the winter, she would just like crawl up on me and go right in my hood of my jacket. And I've heard, I don't know like the science behind it. There's actually a cool show that I've been meaning to watch on Netflix, and it's about inside the mind of your cat. So I'm gonna check that out. But I've heard that they can, yeah, mulch your energy too. And I've never heard the purring thing, but that makes total sense too, is how they can change the pitch of that or the vibration of that. So that's really neat. And yeah, I love that we as a society are becoming, yeah, more and more open to the service animal side of things, and that's great. Yeah, that's amazing that the people like your coworker there or your friend can have an animal like that, and it not only benefits them but everyone around them. And like, yeah, they're amazing for sure. I'm a big fan of that. And then as you were talking, I just wanted to bring something up, not to like focus on negative things, but is the amount of like illness and disease in our pets and cancers and whatnot. And for me, it's that our thoughts create our reality. And so when our thoughts are, yeah, unregulated, and we're all over the place and we're in this constant stress, fight or flight state, that's something that isn't just affecting us, and it's also affecting our pets. And for me, like, I don't have any science background to like back this up, but like I firmly believe that we are creating the disease in our pets because they're around us so much. And so that's something, like, if just to think about that for a second, that if we're not in control or have any sort of say on what's going on in our own minds, is not only is that detrimental to ourselves, but these other living beings around us are affected as well, whether that be a pet or your children or anyone, right? And so it's just kind of almost a like a stark reminder of like what's going on up here isn't just affecting us, it's also affecting the living world around us. And so just, I guess, extra encouragement to take those steps to get in a position where you have some say over what's going on in your world emotionally and how you're reacting. And when you can get to that point where you feel that, where you've consciously, you don't want to react in that situation that way you always have, or the way your parents always did, and now you see yourself doing it. When you make that decision to interrupt that and to change it, it's really empowering, because I think a lot of us just float through life not really thinking that we have much influence. It's just the way I am, or it's just my genes or my genetics, or it's just my program, or whatever your excuse is. It's you can, with effort, change that. And so that's super encouraging for me. So I just wanted to mention that.
What you were saying, because you're right, like that could be a contributor, especially because everything is as a vibration, right? Everything is vibrating. We're all made of energy, and energy is in everything, right? And even things that are solid aren't actually solid when they come down to a microscopic level. And so even our plants give off different energies in your house, right? And so if you think about that, then yeah, what you're saying about disease in animals could absolutely have an impact, right? And so it's just something to think about. If we're all energy and we're all vibrating, and our vibrations can either be like a high vibration or a low vibration, and if you want a space to be a high vibrational space, then you need to consciously make it a high vibrational space. And so, and anybody that's in that space is going to be affected by the vibrations that are there. So I think that's a really important thought provoking idea to think about in your home, for sure.
I actually agree with Nick and you, Amanda, as well, that everything is energy that we do in life, but we don't realize it. I say with my daughter, when she's sick, when she's with her dad, she has flu, or she has an asthma attack, and her dad loves panicking. He loves medication. He's loves like ringing the doctors. And like me, when she's here, I'll be like, praying, I'll be like sending the energy of healing. But when she comes back, she gets healed very, very quickly, because I'll just pray, and the energy, like instead of the energy of worry, I'm like, you're gonna get better. And I know that in my heart that she's gonna get better. I think that's what Nick is saying. What Nick is saying is actually the truth, that sometimes people make their pets sick because they can feel the energy. The person can feel anything. Like if we are sad, if we are worried. I used to have a dog. I don't have pets now, but in Africa, I used to have my 2 dogs. My dad is housed and my mom's side, because they both remarried. So the one, if I go, my dad, and if my stepmom, she's out and I'm hungry, my dog will be like looking at me like with the mercy, like to say, I know what you're feeling, giving me hugs. And I'll be like, I'm hungry. She hasn't cooked. And then when she comes home, and then when I'm eating, you'll be like, oh, you'll be like happy. You can see my dog is so happy. And so yeah, I think that's what we do. But anyone who is watching, I think just get in touch with Amanda, and also learn to actually to stop believing your thoughts, your negative thoughts. And it's a difficult task, but if you create that habit, it's like, we know when we get up in the morning, we know what we need to do and things like that. So when you create your thoughts, bring them to negative, positive thoughts. So it becomes a habit, that an awareness, that you stop believing them, and you stop giving them power, and just stop letting them control your emotions and your actions, and do what you believe to be true about yourself, and observe them. So the first step will be maybe to observe them, and then when you are aware of what is going on in your head, then you are able to actually start to understand, and then you'll be able to know how to influence your emotions and your thoughts, because your thoughts they create our behavior, how we behave. And also, once you learn to identify them, then there won't be a problem in your life. So I think, and also follow Amanda, and she's a mindful coach, and she's all about thoughts and beliefs, and how our thoughts create things. You did a course with Bob Proctor, did you, Amanda?
Yeah,
Have
I did.
Have you finished your course?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was called Thinking into Results. And so it was like 8 or yeah, it was interesting. It definitely helped with like getting into routines. But I think if you're going to work with somebody, you need the right coach to really help you grow, because no matter what, it really depends on who you surround yourself with in order to really get some really positive results out of anything that you do. And so my thing for that is to really choose who you surround yourself with wisely, and are they truly out for your best interest and to help you grow, or like what is their motivation behind things, right? And so with anything, I think that with our emotions, and we're trying to control our thinking, it's all about how we step into our own power. And if we step into our power as like, I can do this, or a victim, right? So we have this like warrior victim mindset in lots of things. And I think so often we'll fall back into that, like those patterns of not being good enough, when really we truly are, when we step into our power. But the problem is that, like Nick was saying about that, we want things to happen instantly, and when they don't happen instantly, then we're like, oh, this isn't working. and really, when you trust in the process of life, and you trust that everything is always working out for you and your highest good and your best interest, and what you need is coming to you for the best and highest version of yourself to learn and grow, then you'll realize some of those things that you were really wanting and striving for maybe aren't so important. And I know Nick has talked about that in the past, where there's these things that he thought that he always wanted, and then he got them, and then it was like, oh, this is the universe telling me this is not actually what I need. It was just what society is telling me this is success, when really success comes internally, not externally. And so yeah, that's kind of what I would focus on, is that internal knowing, and that internal calm that we're striving for, is really, because the external, that's just stuff. and that internal calmness, and being able to control your thoughts and your breath and your mind, that's really when we learn how to control our emotions and take control of what's happening around us. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I love that. I couldn't have said that better myself, so I won't even try. Yeah, for me, I'm at a point where I'm really trying to live that, and that's to just getting into the flow of life and realizing that everything's happening for me, whether it appears like it or not in the moment. It's either it's happening like legitimately for me, or it's trying to teach me a lesson, or there's something to gain there in even the sticky situations. And having that as kind of the way I approach what's happening to me has been really helpful. Just realizing that, and then learning those lessons and moving on, rather than getting stuck and frustrated and just feel like you're, beating your head against the wall, is to just get out of your own way and just let life happen, and use what feels right and what feels good and what just lights you up as your North Star. So if you're acting within with your guidance and your intuition and all of that, and what feels good, you can't go wrong. It doesn't always feel that, I guess, good in the moment, because it's different, right? And if you want to change, if you want to see real change in your life, you have to embrace that uncertainty and kind of push through that fear that comes from the unknown. And once you kind of get into that mode where you just almost relax into that uncertainty, and the uncomfortable becomes comfortable, and just let life happen for you. And yeah, and then in those, I guess, realization that things are happening for you, and even if it might be a lesson that you needed to learn, it helps regulate your emotions and your thoughts. And then you have that bigger picture, I guess, view of that it's for a purpose, right? That you're going to come out of this situation with that lesson, and be a better person on the other side.
Amanda, Nick, before we leave, can you guys please introduce yourself to our audience and let them know where they can connect with you, please? And if you have any words of encouragement, in the moment, please include it as well. Start with Amanda.
My name is Amanda Cottrell. I am a teacher and an author, and I help empower people through finding their own unique creative gifts, because I believe we are all infinitely creative. And all my social media is Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity, or you can find me on my website, which is artmindfulnessandcreativity.com. Nick?
Yes, so my name is Nick Motichka, and I am an entrepreneur, and I am an aspiring speaker and writer as well. And I came from a very different world, in the sense that I was a police officer for the majority of my adult life. And in the last less than a year, I've resigned from that position, and I'm just following my heart and going all in on my business, which is a fashion apparel brand based in Canada that's locally made and natural fiber and cool as hell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Am I muted? Okay, I am not muted. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nikki and Amanda. So if you are somebody, you're watching and you're struggling with the addiction of there's negative thoughts, and we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows because addictions of negative thoughts can be really, really difficult, and they can play a really, really big part in your mental health. So and it can be really hard to shake them and break that addictions. You can follow Amanda or follow Nikki. He's been there, and he was once in this challenging job, but now he's free. He knows how he's done it. He knows how to break free from all those thoughts. So just follow him. If you can't get a hold of Nick or Amanda, you can go to the website and get in touch with me through the email, or you can call and just connect with these guys and help them to help you find your own voice and lead from within. Because when these thoughts take over, negative thoughts take over, you lose your own voice and they control your life. So we don't want that to happen. We want you to stay in control. So we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please connect with us, and God bless and live with grace. Okay. Oh, Amanda, you are the host.